Hello, and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for September of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Let's take a look at what's happening this month. Well, hi, Pisces. Juno has arrived in your sixth house this month to help you out at work by making you more of a social creature and a better networker, and just better able to relate with the people that you work with. Now, if you happen to work in a consultancy of some kind where you are, you advocate for people, you share advice and wisdom with people, or you counsel people in some form, this is a really great transit because it should really support and just bring social acuity to those kinds of meetings that you have with people. This is also really good if you manage people in small groups or teams. Juno's going to be here until mid-October. Ceres starts the month in Libra, which is your eighth house. Now, Ceres is, of course, a goddess of food, body, and money, the things that connect us to the material world. And I've been talking about her involvement with your eighth house for several months now, since February, actually. And so I'm not going to belabor it, but I will say that Ceres is uncomfortable in the eighth house and that your money may have undergone a pretty deep transformation. And during a transit like this, you've got to really bolster your finances for the occasional tidal waves that might sweep through your financial space. So getting organized so that you can handle big financial changes in the future, such as may have already happened to you this spring and summer, well, that would be a really great way to spend the last few days of Ceres passage through your eighth house. She's going to move on into your ninth house right here on September 15th. And let me tell you, this is so great. This is completely worth waiting for, absolutely worth the price of admission, because Ceres loves to be in this house. This is a house of growth and expansion. It's a house of faith and belief. And if ever there was a time to examine your beliefs about money and your own self-worth and how much you deserve to be compensated, this is a really great transit for that. Ceres is going to continue through this house into next month and beyond. She's usually spends about 2 months in a given house, so plenty of time to re-examine and expand on your beliefs so that you can have the courage and confidence to ask for more on the job when it's appropriate to do so. And then the last thing I want to tell you about right now is Jupiter, which is traveling along through your third house. And Jupiter is the ruler of the ninth house, which I was just talking about for Ceres. And so Jupiter is a planet of growth and opportunity, expansion of all kinds. And this is a house of communication. It's a house of your immediate environment. So neighbors, housemates, siblings, the people right around you that you have everyday conversations with, even though those might be superficial conversations. This is also a house of learning, of acquiring information and study. So if you are involved in a course of study or there's something that you need to learn, especially if you need to do some cramming or some tests this year, this is just a really good year for academic achievement for you at any level, but most particularly high school and below. So if you have kids that may be learning, this would be a really good time for you to guide and teach them too. And I want to add one more thing, which is that Jupiter brings us a luck year of some kind. According to the house that it's in, and it usually spends about a year in a given house. And this year might be a year in which you have luck and really great connections with your neighbors. So if you've been having trouble with neighbors, maybe because you don't like them or they don't like you, or some kind of conflict going on in your neighborhood, this could be the year in which it's sorted out, and that could feel pretty good. Hey, Julia, what's up with Venus, Mercury, and Mars for the Pisces of the world?
Well, hey there, Pisces. We have two planets going direct this month, which is good news. The first one is Venus. She goes direct on the 3rd, so very early in the month. She's been retrograde for the past few weeks, and this has all been happening in your 6th house. Now, Venus is the planet of relationships. The 6th house is a house of work. It's a house of health. It's a house of routines. And during Venus retrogrades, it's a time of relationship review. So if you're currently in a relationship, you might be reviewing it, thinking it over, and wondering to yourself, is my partner helpful to me in my career? Are we of service to one another, or is one of us helping the other one more? Is there some asymmetry with how we're of service to one another? And because this is a health house, maybe you're wondering whether you and your partner have healthy routines together, or whether there's some work you could do there. Maybe you like to eat healthy and your partner likes to eat a lot of junk food, and this doesn't quite feel like you're on the same page. If you are single, then you might be thinking about these things in terms of your next relationship too. But when Venus goes direct on the 3rd, what's going to happen is, as she gains speed in the sky, Venus direct in the 6th house could actually bring a really lovely time in your workplace where you're getting along well with the people you work with, and just a love of having routines and structure and rituals in your life in general, because Venus is such a pleasure-loving planet. Now, Mercury is also going to go direct on the 15th. It starts the month retrograde in your 7th house. This house actually rules romantic relationships. It's also the house of contractors and partnerships of all kinds. So with Mercury retrograde in the 7th for the first half of the month, you have to be a little wary of the advice you get from contractors now, like a doctor or a lawyer or a counselor of some type. You might want to go back on that. You might want a second opinion. This can also be a time where you have miscommunications with your own partner too, because, Mercury retrograde is well known for miscommunications. On September 6th, Mercury conjoins the sun while retrograde. We call that Lesser Epiphany Day, and you can get some great insights amidst all of the Mercury retrograde confusion. So these insights could include stuff about your relationship, especially because some of it is overlapping with that Venus retrograde. There could be a lot of stuff that's preoccupying you about your relationship. You could also have some insights into the contractors you've hired in your life, or maybe you're like, you know what? I need a new doctor. I need a new lawyer. Now, by September 15th, Mercury does go direct. It'll take about a week to catch up speed in the sky. And then, you can start communicating a lot more easily with your partner, which will feel much, much better. The end of the month is definitely a lot easier than the beginning. Now, finally, Mars, planet of action and activity, is in your 8th house all month. This is a financial house. It's a house of research and investigation. It's a house of social taboos. Mars is a very passionate planet. So this could be a time where you're exploring more social taboos with your partner. I'll leave that to your imagination. Mars in the 8th house can have you really driven to investigate something in your life, to get down to the bottom of something. And it can make you very impatient about increasing finances too in your life. But it's not necessarily the easiest time to get those finances, whether it's through a bank, whether it's through a shared property with somebody in your family, a joint credit card. These are all 8th house matters. So, the best way, I think, to handle Mars in the 8th house is just do a lot of research about money now. Learn as much as you can, really put a lot of your work and energy into it, and maybe get involved with a mystery in your life, like maybe find something in your life, whether it's your professional or your personal life, that you'd really love to investigate and put some attention towards.
That sounds fun, actually.
It's definitely can be a fun thing. It all depends on how you use it.
Indeed. Hi, Jamie here. Horoscopes and moon videos are fascinating, but they're also not personalized for you. That's why we run live workshops monthly where you can get answers about your own chart. This month's topic is optimizing Mercury retrograde for writers, managers, and learners. Mercury retrogrades are notorious for making a mess of your office, your paperwork, your projects, and your brain. But it doesn't have to be that way. In this workshop, I'll explain how to handle this difficult transit just in time for back to school. This workshop is expressly for our Demigod Patreon subscribers who pay only $15 a month for access to live events like this one. It's easy to sign up at the Patreon link in the description below. I'd love to see you there. Now let's get back to the video. Well, the first of this month's 2 moons is the new moon in Virgo, which lands right here in your 7th house. Now, Julie has been talking about the 7th house as a domain of relationships, and with Mercury being retrograde there and this new moon landing there, I would say that it's a pretty difficult month for signing contracts and engaging in those partner relationships with somebody who may be advising you. And you might even feel like a lot of criticism is coming at you under this new moon, as if, somebody that you've hired is like demanding details and saying you got to get your ducks in a row. And you might need to respond with some of your signature compassion, warmth, and flexibility, Pisces. That may help to get through this new moon a little more smoothly. However, new moons are times for planting seeds. And this can be a new moon that's great for planting seeds in terms of creating better relationships in the future with those people in your life who do demand a little bit more rigor than you feel like you want to produce on a regular basis. The next moon I want to tell you about is the full moon in Aries. It's coming right at the end of the month on the 29th. And here it is in your 2nd house. And this is a house of things to do with Ceres. Ceres governs this house. So it has to do with food, body, money, safety, and security. And the full moon in Aries, we're calling it the sacred fire of self-care. And that's because the full moon in Aries can get pretty feisty, pretty intense, pretty impulsive, and particularly emotionally impulsive. So this is a moon that can act on impulse, and that might compromise your security or your feeling of security, especially if it shows up in the form of some unscheduled spending. But also this moon can bring up a lot of feelings of anger and frustration. It's balanced by a very rational and sensible Pallas Athena and Sun in Libra right here. And then forming a T-square with them, we have Vesta in Cancer right here. And so it's Vesta in Cancer that kind of grabs the handle of this T-square and directs it. And that's why we're calling this one the sacred fire of self-care, because it's all about figuring out how to take care of yourself by balancing your own drive and will with what others need from you. So doing that in particular in the realm of monies that are yours versus monies that you share might give you a better time in any conversations that you might be having with partners in your life with whom you share financial resources, like a business partner or a spouse. I would say, if you can avoid having that kind of conversation under this full moon, do so, because it might blow up a little bit. But if you do have to have it under this full moon, then have an eye to how you can find what's the most fair without giving yourself way too much, of course, and make sure that everybody is well taken care of. And then the last thing I want to tell you about is the seasonal change. The sun starts out the month in Virgo in your 7th house. And really there's a whole migration of planets from your 6th through your 7th and into your 8th this month. At the beginning of the month, lots of emphasis here in the 6th house, bringing your attention to your work and how you can be of use and of service and how you can organize your life and live with healthy routines. And then the energy shifts on into the relationship realm, where you have to grapple with how you relate to others and how you find what's fair and who you consult with and why. And then towards the end of the month, there's so much more emphasis on the 8th house. And here's the day when the sun moves in there into Libra. And this is also the equinox, the autumnal equinox that happens every year. Some folks like to celebrate it. And when the energy and the attention of the sun moves into your 8th house, you want to pay attention to your most intimate connections. I'm talking about the connections that you have with other people that hold the most emotional charge for you, whether this is a sexual relationship, an emotionally intimate relationship where you really share yourself, or you really learn about what's going on deep inside of another person, or financial relationships where you invest your money in a person or in a pool shared with others. Any way you look at it, when the sun arrives in your 8th house, is a really great time to spend the next 30 days really bringing high quality and warm attention into these domains so that you can enhance the intimacy that you experience, and so that the people that you are intimate with or engaged in those charged relationships with can feel really noticed, really seen, and really valued by you.
Well, that's all we have for you today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, then please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share these videos with your friends.
You can find out so much more about how this month's transits affect you in very personal timing in our monthly Patreon workshops. Find the link in the description below to get started. Enjoy the equinox, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.